And who else did we meet with? And then we did one of the really awesome parts of the trip is you do a homestay. It's an opportunity. Instead of staying at the hotel, you can go with the family and spend the night at their house. So I went and stayed with Hanan and Hana and Khader. Hope I'm pronouncing those right. Who are an Arab Christian family living outside of in Bethlehem. I guess pretty close to the center of town, maybe. They live actually right near Bethlehem University. So I got to walk by and see that on the way to their house. And so I was able to talk to them about what life was like for them, and they have been to Israel and gone to visit the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and obviously in Bethlehem they have the Church of the Nativity, which I'm hoping to come visit sometime soon. I have a friend who spends a lot of time in Bethlehem and has some work contacts there, I think, so I'm hoping to go back with her and see the Church of the Nativity, which was the site of a very famous siege a number of years ago, probably maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago. There were people in there that the Israeli army wanted to capture or kill or whatever, and so they were barricaded in there for quite some time, and I think a couple of people were actually killed in the church or right outside the church, so that was a very momentous occasion happening at the time. Anyway, so I had all these experiences, and one of the things we talked about is what it means for Israel to be a Jewish state and a democratic state and be in the land, and which is an interesting discussion on its own, but was particularly, I think, particularly had an impact on all of us. We began that sort of conversation before the trip, and then we had the trip, and then we concluded returning to that question of what it means for Israel to be Jewish, democratic, and in the land. And so I've been obviously thinking about that a lot, and had a chance to reflect on not only what it means for Palestinian nonviolence, but what it would mean for Israel to adopt a ethos and a practice of nonviolence, and also let me know what it means for me as a Jew living in the United States to call on Israel to adopt nonviolent methods and nonviolent practices, because obviously, if there's not a security wall and not checkpoints and not an IDF presence, potentially it means Israelis are more likely to get killed, at least in the short term, and it's not me who is living in Israel who would have to deal with that. But so I had a chance to reflect over the last couple days on what I thought it meant and felt like to me for Israel to be a Jewish state in the region, and what impact Israel has on the Jewish people who live there and on the idea of Judaism, and what my connection is to Israel as a Jewish state, and there's a word I'm not really grasping here at the moment that fits the situation. Kind of what my obligation is in terms of being inclined towards feeling like I have some responsibility to Israel or to the Palestinians. Anyway, I think that this entire conflict is bad for the Palestinians and bad for the Israelis. And bad in the sense that people are dying. Although interestingly, perhaps not interestingly, it's the opposite interestingly, since the wall has been built, probably over the last 2 or 3 years especially, not as many people have been dying, especially in the West Bank. Obviously, Gaza war accepted. But that was one of the things someone told me. I said, what's over the last couple of years, what's been going well and what's been going poorly? And he said, going well, a lot fewer people are dying, and partly it's because there's less freedom of movement and a wall, and partly because Israel has gone in recently and killed a lot of the people who they considered threats to them, which goes wonders towards limiting the amount of violence in the region. I've lost my blue. Ah, there it is. One moment.